intuitive family, welcome back to Crystal Intuition. So today we're going to talk about a topic that I've talked about and mentioned a couple of times in a couple of my previous videos. So the topic is, if you haven't read the title yet, about witchcraft, spirituality, religion, and Satanism, because people don't understand that a lot of these things are kind of connected and not connected at the same time, because some people just view this whole thing as one thing. They think Satanism is a religion, which I don't really think it is, but they want it to be. And witchcraft and spirituality is not the same thing, but they are very similar and they can go hand in hand. And then again, religion, there's a lot of conflict surrounding witchcraft and occultism. So we're going to get into that. So basically I just saw this video the other day. I wanted to make this video then, but I was really fired up and I decided to wait it out. So I've been noticing a lot of spiritual people has not been feeling very well this week. So, well, I haven't been able to film because of that. We just all been feeling the energy, and another planet went retrogrades, so it's just really difficult. So we're just gonna go with it. We're just gonna talk about it, and so I'm just gonna tell you guys a little bit about what that video was about, because I don't really want to link that video. I don't want to talk about, I don't want to give you guys the YouTuber's name, because even if you know her name, please don't put it in the comments. If you want to go search for it, you can do that, just don't put it in the comments. If you already know who I'm talking about, then, well, just kind of keep it to yourselves, because I didn't want to slander another YouTuber's name, because I quite like her content, and I'm kind of more of a fan of her sister though, but, you know, she's nice. I can relate a lot to her. She's a very nice person. There's just this one video she made. A lot of people tend to take like 40% of something and turn it into something bigger, when really there's another 60% to it that they only researched a specific thing about it, like the 40%. So, you know, I was kind of taken aback by this video a little bit, because I was like, girl, you don't really know half of what you're talking about, and now you're spreading it as this awful thing, but really it can be. So she kind of has a point, and I really understand her point of view on this, but like, just not having all the facts kind of, it kind of like makes you wonder, like, sometimes. But I got a comment from that video. I read a couple of comments. A couple of people have some really interesting comments, because I wanted to leave a comment. I didn't like or dislike the video. I didn't comment. I just let it be. So I think that's a really nice thing to do if you don't agree with something, but there was someone whose comment stood out to me. So I screenshot it, and I'm going to read it anonymously, because I don't want to name put other people's names on the channel and have it out there. So I'm going to read that to you, but first I'm going to explain to you what she talked about in the video. So the whole video was about her leaving the spiritual community, her leaving the New Age movement. She kind of depicts the New Age movement being satanic, and that we're all unknowingly worshipping the devil. So first off, I have already an opinion right there, because you know, you can't unknowingly worship the devil. It has to be consentful. It's like that saying, I think it was in Revelations in the Bible, where they talk about the mark of the beast that will be perceived on your right hand or on your forehead. Now, a lot of people got really scared when they read that, because they they thought that they can like unknowingly like partake in satanic stuff and then receive the mark. It doesn't work that way. The thing with Satanism is you have to fully commit to it. You have to like do the rituals. You have to worship the devil. You actually have to worship him, pray to him. You understand? Like, you can't just unknowingly do shit that's technically satanic, and then, you know, like, if you don't know that's satanic, then it can't really do you harm. Like, if you didn't know, like, let's use a hypothetical thing, like, for example, you're a kid. You draw something that vaguely resembles the satanic pentagram, and then you didn't know, like, you didn't, like, just worship Satan because you didn't know. Like, not knowing doesn't make you a Satanist. So there's also a little bit of controversy about the pentagram, because the one with the 2 points at top is the satanic pentagram. The reason for it being the head of, like, a ram or something like that, but it's kind of like the mark of the beast, essentially. So the other thing, when the pentagram is upright and the 1 point is at the top, that is the Wicca pentagram. That symbolizes the 5 elements, being water, air, fire, earth, and spirit. So a lot of people had a lot of controversy about that, but we'll get more into this Satanism and the religion later. So in her video, she also talks about that she was bullied and abused by lovers, and I can really relate to that, but apparently her things came, like, what I got from the videos, that it happened after she started spirituality. Mine was, like, way before it. It was like, I was bullied in school and abused, like, that was like more than 2 years ago now. I'll probably make a video on that sometime, but I'm not ready for that yet because I don't like talking about it. So one day maybe. But yeah, she went through all these bad things, and she also admitted that she did shrooms, drugs. So that is the worst thing, because she also claims she suffered from anxiety, depression, sleep paralysis, sleep disorders. She felt really anxious at night. Now, that can just mean that she was emotionally overwhelmed. It doesn't have to be satanic or evil or anything like that. And then she proceeded saying that all of it was Satan. Unknowingly, she was worshipping Satan with the incense and the crystal collecting and the astrology and etc, etc, etc. So she claimed this was all Satan, right? So again, I have another opinion here, because, like, not everything in life is Satan. Some things have rational explanations, and a lot of it pertains, Satan is kind of involved if you really do want to take it on that route. Because let's just say, for example, like, you're a person, you have free will. This side is God. He gives you option A. And the other side's the devil. He gives you option B. They don't force you to do anything. You make that choice. So yeah, inherently there's bad people doing bad things, making bad choices, and you can't really do anything about it because you can't control people. And neither can God, and neither can the devil. Nobody can control you but you. They can influence you, they can manipulate you. I mean, God's not going to manipulate you or whatever, but you understand, like, what I'm saying. So yeah, so I just had a whole opinion about that, because everybody thinks when shit goes bad, it's demons, it's the devil. Like, I understand your point, but just take a step back and just look at it like from a bigger picture, because everything isn't always as spooky and as woohooey as you want it to be. So the logical explanation also for the sleep paralysis and things, like I said, is she was probably emotionally overwhelmed. Because when you go through trauma like that, it leaves a scar, it leaves a mark in you, and it really takes a lot of healing, forgiving, and stuff like that just to kind of get over it. And sometimes even then, it's a struggle, it really is. And it's not nice when something like that happens to you, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. So she then proceeds to quote a couple of people. One of them being Anton LaVey. His middle name, Sander. Anton Sander LaVey. So I just always struggle pronouncing the middle name because it's like SZ. It's like really, I'm not really that good at pronunciation anyway, because I'm not really English. So Anton LaVey, we're just gonna call it Anton LaVey. We're just gonna remove the middle name for now for this video. But anyway, she talked about Anton LaVey. If you don't know who Anton LaVey is, well, you can Google him. He's the author of the Satanic Bible. So he had a couple of opinions because he claimed that stuff like tarot and other spiritual things belonged to the Satanic Church because they used it, so they wanted to kind of claim it for themselves because they're selfish. There's not really a reason why, they're just the way they are. We're just gonna leave it there for now. So she quoted a couple of things he said, and apparently it was just meaning that he kind of wanted all of the spiritual objects kind of belong to the Satanic Church, because it doesn't. They just wanted it to. They wanted to claim it because they wanted to be for darker purposes. They only wanted to be used for darker purposes. But, they were kind of just pissed off that people were using it for good. That's why he kind of had that reaction in the first place. Then she goes on and she talked about Helena Blavatsky. If you don't know who she is, a lot of people, she is the most controversial person of her age. Like, I really just do some research because it's quite interesting. I watched a couple of videos on her, read a couple of articles. She was quite a fascinating person. Now, I believe a lot of her beliefs were kind of accurate, some were a little weird, but she was a really controversial person. So she was an author, a philosopher, and a spiritualist. So she was a Russian spiritualist. Just Russian. Because I did a little digging. So apparently back then, I think her uncle was like, he had a big library. Her mother or someone was like an author. So she was really into writing. She was also a really good artist. She liked horseback riding. She was kind of normal. Although she only rode like half-broken horses. Now, broken meaning like when you break in a horse, to making it able to ride the horse. So like, if a horse is unbroken, that means it's a wild horse. So just for somebody who thinks broken horse like broken bones, it's not that. So she's kind of a normal girl. She spent a lot of time in the library, became fascinated with books. She started reading books on the occult. So let me just get this here. So I'm gonna make this because I wanted to show you guys. Okay, so let me just get this one. There's a difference between, okay, let me just see. Okay, you can see. There's a difference between a cult and a cult. So she read books on a cult. Okay. So just so you understand that there's a difference between those two, because a lot of people get confused. So she read books on the occult. So back then it was quite different than it was now. Now it's involving stuff like astrology, numerology, immunology, and a couple of other ologies. So we're not going to get too deep into that at the moment. So back then it was a little deeper. It kind of went about this like unseen things, unseen forces, unseen abilities. Because she was fascinated with that, because she had spiritual gifts. She was born with spiritual gifts. And right here I also kind of have an opinion, because a lot of people think spiritual gifts like psychics and clairvoyance are evil, and really I don't really think they are, because I also have spiritual gifts and it kind of runs in my family, and it's been at both sides. Both of my parents' sides have psychics and spiritual people. So I don't really understand the fact that God will have you born with a gift that's satanic. Understand? Like I don't see the point of him giving you something that's satanic. Like, I think spiritual gifts are a gift from God. Occasionally you see really, really, really terrible things you wish you didn't see, but you can close yourself off from things like that. And that's why it's really important to spiritually protect yourself, which this girl also didn't do. And the drugs with the trauma and stuff, like all of that with not spiritual protecting yourself and indulging in spiritualism, of course that's going to give you a really, really bad experience. And it's also kind of fascinating for me how people kind of have like a bad experience and they blame it on something, because something has to be responsible. So no, I had these bad experiences all my life, so I'm just gonna blame like a deck of cards or a wooden board, or you know, it's what you make of it at the end of the day. We'll get more into things like that later. So I went a little off topic there, but yeah, Elena, she was a spiritual person reading books on the occult, hidden abilities. And the word occult means hidden knowledge. That's what occult means. It's not evil. It's not like, occult doesn't mean satanic. It does not mean satanic at all. But of course there's some darker things involving in the occult as well, because when you go dig into stuff like that, you'll come across things like necromancy, summoning the dead, summoning demons, and that's where things cross that beautifully vague line in the sand. That's adorable. There's like this small little lizard just running across the floor here, and that just really caught my attention. It's so cute. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I get distracted by animals and nature really easily, and it's adorable. But that really went off topic really, really quickly. So, yeah, so where was I? Okay, the necromancy, summoning the dead. Yeah, that's where I believe things cross that line where it becomes satanic, because summoning things, in my opinion, is bad. So when you have spiritual gifts, that's not bad. Communicating with spirits, that's not bad. But when they come to you, that's fine. But when you intentionally seek out to summon something that you know nothing about, that's evil. That's where things just can go really wrong very quickly. So I don't like communicating with the dead either. I mean, sometimes they come to me, but it really makes me uncomfortable. I don't know about other people that also have spiritual gifts. It makes me uncomfortable, and I know they're not bad. I never get bad thoughts from most of them. And also, when you know it's a demonic force and when it's a human force, especially when you physically see them. Because my aunt is also clairvoyant, so I asked her about it, because I can't physically always see them, because I have more my psychic ability of psychic knowing is stronger. So she told me that demonic forces, evil things, tend to float above the ground. They don't tend to touch the ground. Whereas human entities will more like actually walk on the ground or very closer to the ground. Demonic forces will also not, much of the time, they won't face you, and their eyes will be either black or it will appear that they don't have eyes at all. And human forces, of course, they look more human. Apparently she says kids tend to wear plain clothes a lot, like PJs, and like I've seen a child that wore like, I think it was either Superman or Spider-Man PJs, but I couldn't really tell. It was just so fast. It happened so fast. So she also said older people, especially older men, tend to wear striped pajamas. And there's something else she told me, but I forgot. Never mind. We're just gonna continue with that. So she kind of told me a little bit about what happens when she sees them, and also when she says she feels like something's pushing her out. She can be in a house with an evil spirit, but when it feels like it's pushing her, like it wants her out, she can't handle that. So I mean, I wouldn't really either, because I don't think stuff like that's something you should take lightly at all. So she proceeded talking about these Satanists and that technically she believes spirituality, because she heard the word occult, and a lot of people make assumptions just off the bat. So she just assumed that this Helena woman was satanic, and she didn't even have really her facts straight, because I didn't really think she was just a spiritualist, and spirituality isn't evil, but at this point she believed it was. She then proceeded into religion and talking about God, and that we should all repent our sins and just stop with the New Age movement, and that's kind of what she said. Satanism is also kind of rising at the same time. That's why a lot of people get confused between the two, but there's a major difference between spirituality and Satanism, and I'll get into that. But first I'm going to read you guys the comment from one of the people who commented on this video. So I'm going to read it anonymously, but I do want to read it because I really kind of feel the same way as this person does. So this person said, as someone that's also Christian who had involvement and interest in the New Age, I totally get you and appreciate what you're saying. But that being said, I think there's a few more things worth mentioning. A lot of witchcraft and basic New Age philosophies do date back to pre-Christian times and were only painted as negative or satanic to further spread Christianity. So I'm going to just take a moment here and just breathe, because way back, there weren't such a thing as religion. The only religion that existed was paganism. So Christianity and all these things, they revolve around paganism. A lot of these things are actually unavoidable nowadays, because if you celebrate any holiday, Halloween, Christmas, Easter, then you're probably indulging in a pagan holiday, because you know what, Christmas is supposed to be about the birth of Jesus, and people make it like Santa and presents, and then that's kind of pagan. So we do tend to go back to our pagan roots, and a lot of people won't admit this because they think pagan is evil. Pagan is part of everything. You really can't escape it. So I'm gonna continue. Okay, so Christianity, okay, so on and so forth. Okay, so not all of these philosophies are inherently satanic or evil at all. They're from a time when the entire concept of Satanism and evil, in the biblical sense, weren't known. This was just a way for Christian countries and people to colonize and to demonize the people and religion that was there before, so that they could stamp it out. These evil beliefs are only claimed by Satanists because that's what they associate with evil in the biblical sense, since they're worshipping the biblical evil guy, the devil. So a lot of Christians' beliefs and practices have roots in these religious traditions and beliefs that already existed. For hundreds of years, at least in England where I'm from, so this person was from England, what we can now recognize as magic was often used by the church. And this person really did their research, because I also did the same research before I ever read this comment. Yes, churches do use stuff like incense and the holy water and things like that, so yeah, it's kind of interesting. It fizzled out a bit thanks to Henry. I believe this is Henry VIII. It's like the V with the 3 lines. And I'm not that into Roman numerology, so I'm just gonna pretend it's Henry VIII. But if I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. So, and some other factors, but it was a pretty big thing, and not considered. I cut off a little piece there. And not considered at all. We're gonna actually, it was super holy. Okay, so I think what it said was that it wasn't considered as evil at all, but it was actually pretty holy, because I actually cut off a little piece there. Okay, so then they proceeded. Honestly, we all use a lot of this stuff in day-to-day life now anyway. Crystals are used in a ton of tech stuff. We take medicine that consists of concoctions of different herbs and plants. We have bath salts, calming teas, so on and so forth. Yeah, so clear quartz is actually a major like compound in a lot of tech stuff. I actually googled it because I was like, really? Somebody told me that, and I was like, really? I couldn't believe it. Like, I kind of googled it myself, and yes, it is. And copper as well, because copper is also kind of a natural thing. Because this girl in the video also kind of believed that crystals were evil. So it's just interesting that people have opinions. People will always have opinions, and I do respect others' opinions, and also enjoy having my own opinions. But yeah, that might just be my Aries side coming out, but yeah. For the most part, we always have. So we've always used these natural medicines and stuff. That's actually where witchcraft came from, but more on that later. Whilst it's different than going into New Age spirituality with that perception and intention, we do absolutely all utilize this kind of thing in our own good in day-to-day life anyway. Honestly, it's kind of unavoidable. And yes, it is. It's really unavoidable. It really is. So I really think that this person really knew what they were talking about. But alongside what they also said, because intention is kind of everything, guys, and I also want to talk about a little bit more on that later. If I remember, that is. So, she also said, Christian witches are a thing too, my dude. This is exactly how it says here. And it is, because I'm one, so if I weren't that... I actually didn't know it was a thing, though. I was just kind of thinking, well, I'm a Christian and I'm a witch now, so I guess I'm a Christian witch. And people really don't approve of that because they think witchcraft is evil. But I'm going to talk about witchcraft, so we're going to get into that. Christian and Catholic churches literally use incense as well. Jesus was literally gifted it when he was born. It's not bad at all. I'm just gonna say, go read your Bibles. Please go read your Bible. Like, if you're a Christian and you're gonna have an opinion about something, just make sure you do read the Bible, because some people just take out one verse out of the Bible, then they want to say, you're sinning, you're doing that wrong, you're doing that wrong. Meanwhile, there's 7 other paragraphs in the Bible that contradicts that, because that's another interesting thing about the Bible, is that it kind of contradicts itself. So, like, and then in the Old Testament they'll say this, and then they'll say that, and it's just really contradictory, and it's really interesting. But before you judge, just make sure that you're not guilty of something else that wasn't mentioned in the Bible. It's not good to judge. We're all guilty of it. You know it. Okay, so drugs like weed and shrooms are really just that, drugs. They don't really take you to any forms of enlightenment or anything. They just make you feel like you are sometimes. For some people, it might be a gateway. But that's kind of more on them, not the drugs themselves, you know? So, yeah, I get this person's opinion completely, because the drugs is just drugs. But if you're in a really bad state, it can make you vulnerable, and then bad things can influence you more easily. But again, if you're closed off to it, it can't really do anything to you. But if you're really open to everything, it might. So I'll tell more on that later. I'm actually considering making like a Witchcraft 101 video. Like I did a Crystal Safety 101 video. I want to do like a Witchcraft 101, where I kind of talk about how you can protect yourself and your aura, like everything like that. I did talk a little bit about it, but I want to expand on the matter. Sorry if any of these seem condescending or patronizing or anything. That's just not my intention at all. I just really strongly feel that it's important to bring this stuff up. It's great to see that you're in a much better place and a much safer place than you were before. I live in a very pagan area and have history of spiritualism and psychic ability in my family that goes back for generations. Me too. I love coincidences. I didn't think any of it is bad. It's just what it is. I'm an empath, and I was born being able to see and chat to spooks and whatnot. I don't think God would have given me that ability if it was evil. I just said that like a little while ago. So yes, I also believe God would not give you something that's evil. Actually, in my first Talk Time video, I actually talked about the same thing. And even in the end of the day, if someone else wants to hang out with the devil, it's kind of none of my beeswax anyway. And that's the end of the comment. So, yes, it is really interesting to me because a lot of people purposely choose to hang out with demons and devils and such, and I really don't get it at all. So, I'm gonna get my little list here. Okay. So now I'm gonna try to explain a couple of things to you guys. Because I've told you what the video was about, I've read the comment, I made my opinions. So that's my inspiration for this video. So I'm gonna explain a couple of things for you guys. I'm just gonna scoot up a little bit. So witchcraft is more or less started out being plant medicine. It was like herbs and teas and medicine healing with nature, crystals and etc. That was kind of what witchcraft originally was all about. And yes, a lot of people were burned for it, a lot of innocent people as well. And it's kind of sad to think about, because that's where science came from. And some people also think science are evil, but I don't really think it is. If it's not for science, you wouldn't have medicine nowadays. And the situation that we're actually currently in would have killed the entire planet. So rethink before you think witchcraft's bad. Because if witchcraft didn't exist, science wouldn't have, and then we wouldn't be able to get cures for really, really bad diseases and sicknesses in the world. So witchcraft originated as that. Of course, a lot of people, because Satanism was there alongside Christianity just when they got out of the pagan times. So a lot of witches also did Satanism. So yeah, there were witches that were burned that deserved it because of the Satanism. I don't know, that just sounded awful. No, nobody really deserves to get burned. That was wrong. That was bad. That was not. That didn't came out right at all. No one deserved to be burned. No one did. But you know, it was kind of like the reason why witchcraft got a bad rap. It was because of the Satanists, because they just will find a way to defile anything. So they kind of screwed witchcraft up quite a bit, because witchcraft was kind of this pure thing, and then they did the blood offerings and stuff. Okay, so where do you think nowadays things crosses the line if you do spellcraft and stuff? Where I think things crosses the line, when you mess with someone's free will, that's crossing the line to the dark side, my people. When you do any kind of blood magic or dark magic or something like that, that's evil. Blood magic I see as binding magic. Most love spells actually does two things wrong. They mess with someone's free will and they involve blood. Your own blood, most of the time. So I think those two things are really wrong. Messing with someone's free will, blood magic. Blood magic's binding magic. And also, deliberately setting out intention to summon something. I don't care what it is. An angel, a demon, a spook, a ghost, your loved one. I don't care what it is. You do not summon anything. They will come to you. If you are a spiritual person, they will come to you if they have something to say. If they don't come to you, they probably don't have anything to say to you anyway. I mean, like, just imagine for 1 second you're a ghost. Okay, you're a spirit. You died, you're dead for like 3 years now, and then there's this person, let's call it Susan. Now, Susan kind of misses you really a lot. You didn't really care much for Susan. Maybe you did, I don't know. But then You don't want to talk to her. You never went to her. Then all of a sudden she's doing this really weird rituals, summoning you there. You appear. You're gonna be pissed as hell. You didn't want to be there in the first place. You don't have anything to say to her. What are you gonna say anyway? And you also don't really know what you are summoning, because you can summon like your dead grandma or someone, and then you can accidentally summon a demon because you don't really know what you're doing. Sometimes even when people think they know what they're doing, they really aren't. Again, then spirituality is a little different than witchcraft, but they really do go beautifully hand in hand because I practice both. I do like natural healing because I don't like all those weird concoctions that's in some medicine, because it kind of makes me feel really, really bad a lot of the times. I mean, if you drink a lot of sleeping pills, not sleeping pills, pain medication. Pain medication makes you want to sleep, and sleep medication kind of makes you feel like you just took drugs, especially if you didn't sleep right away. I don't drink sleeping meds ever. I did that once, but it wasn't on purpose. I was in a hospital and they accidentally gave me sleep medication. That was not fun. So spirituality is more so with anything, all of that ologies, like I said. It's moonology, astrology, numerology, and a lot of people think these things are satanic. Numerology is in the Bible, people. That's the first place you can find numerology in its purest form. Then all of these ologies, astrology is the study of stars. So I guess NASA would be then satanic if you believe that astrology is satanic. That's ridiculous. That's not good. How would you know if an asteroid's gonna destroy your planet if it weren't for people like NASA that actually studies the skies? Of course and also back in the day, this is actually really fascinating, back in the day, they used the stars to kind of know where they are. They used to, if you ever watched the movie Moana, you know, Moana, that's a cute cartoon movie, they kind of did that same thing, like, where they measured the stars, and then they knew exactly which direction they were going. Because back in the day, they didn't have compasses and maps and stuff like that, because, you know, technology comes with time. So they used the stars, the sun, the moon even, to kind of locate where they are. So they did study the skies for that purpose. So I don't really think it's evil, you just wanted to know where you were going. And getting lost in the sea. There's a lot of horror movies about that. I really don't think that's something anyone wants to do. So that's what spirituality is more about. Like the incense, meditation stuff, because, okay, yeah, meditation does come along with that. A lot of people, I've recently heard a lot of people saying yoga is evil. Do you know what yoga is? Like, I mean, I do yoga. I haven't done it in a while, actually, but I do yoga sometimes. And it's kind of fun because I have a heart condition, so I can do a lot of exercises. I can basically swim, horseback riding, yoga, and walking the dog, or just walking. So yoga is a really nice way because it's mostly just stretching, and, you know, sometimes you, like, do something like you squat and just do a couple of, like, ups and downs, like, kind of like, it's really weird explaining it, but, you know, you kind of know it's more like stretching, because what yoga kind of does is it loosens all your muscles, and it kind of releases all the blockages you have in your body. So yoga's really relaxing, you know, and it's technically a form of exercise. I don't see how that's evil in the least. I mean, I'm gonna be sarcastic now, but, you know, I don't really think you can like, worship the devil through exercise. Oh my gosh, people will have the weirdest opinions about things. So this video is so lengthy, but I just can't help, like, feeling the way I do about certain things. So that's what spirituality and witchcraft is kind of about, a little bit about. So that's them in its purest forms. So then religion, like I said, pagan was the first religion. All other religions you know today kind of originated from pagan. So everything is part of pagan, but pagan's not really part of everything else. So like Wicca is part of pagan, but pagan's not really part of Wicca, if that makes sense. So another thing that people really find contradictory, because nowadays, back in the day, Satanism was not considered a religion, and I really don't think it should be. My view on religion is kind of like, I apologize for the dog, by the way. My opinion on religion is, what if every religion technically serves the same God? Like, let's take like Muslims and Hindu, Hebrew, I don't really know all of the religions, but let's just for a moment think that all of the religions serves a God, right? What if we're all serving technically the same God, because God does take many forms, many names, even different genders. So what if we're all serving the same God, except Satanism, because that serves the opposite of God, and that serves that goes against everything that religion's supposed to be about. That's why I don't think it's religion. It's just like, this is a really sensitive topic, but I have to say it. It's just like making pedophilia and bestiality a sexual orientation. You get? I don't think either of those two things should be considered sexual orientation, because it's just wrong. It's just wrong. I just can't even wrap my mind around why somebody would do that. You know, and they're fighting for rights. They want it to be a sexual orientation, as if there aren't enough already. So there's a lot of controversy there, but you know, that's what religion, my views on religion, and I really know it got really sensitive there, but I do not consider Satanism a religion at all. And then Satanism, what is Satanism? So Satanism, that's where they offer up things, like they sacrifice babies, they sacrifice people, they sacrifice animals, a lot of blood offerings, they do rituals in a circle, they draw these dark pentagrams, they deliberately summon demons. So Satanism is a lot also about raping, sexual things, and that's really one of the big things they stand for, that, and also the summoning and the sacrificing. And you can't really find this on Google, but it's just like taking a murderer and putting him in a room and then be like, you didn't kill that guy, did you? Oh no, I didn't kill that guy. You understand? Just putting a Satanism in a room. Oh, you don't really sacrifice and rape people, do you? No, we don't. Yeah, sure. I mean, you wouldn't really understand unless you've actually faced one of them. They're kind of really, like, rising. I mean, South Africa, where I live, is one of the top places with the most Satanists, and it's scary. It's really scary. I've come across a couple of them, actually. And they're really dark. And when you're a good person, especially when you're Christian, you have this little flame, okay, inside you. The more faith you have, the bigger the flame is, okay? And they see that, and then they target you, especially. So that's what it is, and I don't want to go any deeper into that, because it's dark, it's creepy, but you kind of can differentiate between the different groups. If you want more in-depth videos where I kind of talk about the history of them, we can do that. And then also objects like tarot and Odra, I think those are just that. It's objects. They were manufactured in a place, okay? So it's your intention. Intention's everything, people. Like, if you have a good intention, you're gonna have a good experience. But summoning things, like I said, it's not a good thing. So Ouija boards is kind of made for that, so I really don't know if you can. I mean, I've heard about people who have positive experiences. I guess it's the way you use it. I mean, if spirits come to you and you kind of utilize that so they communicate more easily, maybe that's not evil then. There's so much lizards here, guys. There's another, this one's bigger. I get so distracted. So I think this was a kind of more laid back video, but we talked about a lot of serious objects, which was kind of interesting. Because I'm glad I didn't make this video when I just saw that other video, because then I would have been really fired up. I'm glad I had time to just calm down a little bit and relax and just talk a little bit more calmly about it. So let me know your thoughts about all of this, guys, and let me know if you want to see any other things for future videos, anything I mentioned in here. And I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope I wasn't too all over the place. I kind of try to keep it as organized as I possibly can. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So if you did, and if you do like content I post, please consider subscribing and liking and commenting on this video if you like it, or if you too have an opinion about this, because we all have opinions, everyone does. So until next time guys, have a good one. Bye guys.